Hello, and this is the video for using a spot welder in order to replace rechargeable batteries in battery packs. In this video, I'm going to be using a rechargeable battery pack from a drill. When you open the battery pack, please take out the films or maybe pieces of paper on the battery pack so that you could look at the orientation of the aluminum plates. The spot welder I'm using has different voltages, so we could use different thicknesses of aluminum plates. And this is welding the plates to the batteries. So what you have to do is press the two copper ends together and wait for this sparks to occur, then the weld occurs. You might have to do it multiple times because the voltage might be too weak for the thickness of the aluminum foil. And please always check after you weld the aluminum plates if it is strong or not. This is an example of checking if it's welded properly. An important part is to take out the head, or this part of the original battery pack. This is something that we do not buy and we just use from the old one because it is not broken. Taking this part out of the original battery pack was a hard process, and there's a very high chance of breaking the aluminum plate inside, so please be wary and careful. And when trying to weld this piece onto the new battery pack, please well adjust the direction of this part because it has to be aligned in order for the cover to go on top. If in the case that the aluminum plates are not that long or there's not enough for you to weld, then cut a small piece of thin aluminum plate and put it on. Then you can weld the aluminum plate, which will then weld the original aluminum plate onto the rechargeable battery. This might take a little while, but please be patient and continue to try and successfully weld the pieces. This is a bird's eye view of welding the top piece of the battery so you have a better understanding of what the process is. This might take a long time, and welding the wrong places could actually burn some of the wires, so please be careful. And if this piece gets broken, then it'll be very hard to repair the battery, so this is probably the moment where you want to focus the most. And next, please connect the original plates, the other original plate of the wire to the bottom of the battery pack. And please remember the orientation of the original battery pack so that you don't accidentally put it in the wrong side. And one thing you might want to consider is to increase the voltage if your spot welder has that ability, because some aluminum plates, especially the ones that are originally in the old battery pack, are much more thicker, so that would be a better idea to increase the voltage. And when all of the welding is done, you have to use the old mold and trace it around a certain paper so that we could create the new layer of paper or foam, so that there are no electrical shocks or fires that occur from the battery pack. The best way would be to use an insulating tape, like a tape with a foam, and put it on the paper and then cut it to the shape, so that if you take out the tape, there's a layer of an insulator, so that the electrical shock does not occur. When you have successfully put the battery pack back into its container, in order to check if you successfully welded the battery pack, you would want to use a voltmeter in order to check if there's any voltage going through. Even though these are new batteries, there is still voltage, so please check. And as a result, the drill works now. This is the creation process of the spot welder I used in the video. So first, this cord is basically to connect the transistor to the button I had on the bottom. This is just a functionality that if you want to make the whole spot welder way much more safer is pretty much necessary, because if you're not using it and the spot welder does not have a mechanism to stop or not allow the electricity to flow, then it may cause possible dangerous situations. So this functionality is way much very recommended. And also the on and off switch is also recommended, especially because for the same reason, if you're not using it, you would probably want it to be off and for the electricity to not flow. Here, the most important part comes in, the transistor, and in the middle you see that the wires are coiled inside. There are multiple transistors. You could get one from a microwave, you could get one online. And here the most important part is that the wires are coiled inside, the transistors are thick. This is because the thicker the wires, it will increase the current, which is needed in order to for a spot welder, because the electricity has to be sent quick so that the metal does weld. And this is also another functionality that you might want to put in your spot welder. This kind of allows the function of controlling the voltage of the spot welder. This is really useful when you're trying to use different types of aluminum plates and with different thicknesses. And you could use the spot welder for different reasons and different places. So if you can get some program online that would alter the voltages, then it is very recommended to do so. And please connect the wires to the motherboard and the transistor like so. And lastly, please connect the two thick wires to the edge of the box so that we could add the copper ends. And this will be the display for changing the voltages if you want that functionality. This is an old model of a spot welder that I made from a transistor that was from a microwave. The main problem with this is that it has very high voltage, yet there is no mechanism to stop the electricity from flowing, so this might be very dangerous. However, if you add certain ways to kind of stop and prevent the electricity from flowing when you're not using it, definitely a recommended way to create a spot welder. And another way to get a spot welder is just buying one online. And lastly, this is a DIY spot welder with a motherboard and a adjustable voltage system. And this is also a recommended